The big story was Inter Miami. They hammered New England 6-2. Suarez scored twice. Messi came off the bench to bag a second-half hat trick. And remember, he had scored a hat trick for Argentina against Bolivia in their last qualifier. So that's 6 goals in 2 games for club and country for him. With this win, Inter Miami finished the season with 74 points. They set an MLS single-season points record, surpassing the 73 that New England had amassed in 2021. And if that wasn't enough, Gianni Infantino was on hand to officially reveal that by virtue of winning the Supporters' Shield, Inter Miami will take part in next year's expanded Club World Cup. Can we go there first?
Yeah, let's go there first.
The Athletic wrote a piece about this. Others have chimed in as well, and they echoed my feelings on it. There's nothing wrong with giving this berth to the Supporters' Shield winner, and we all know this tournament is better for having Lionel Messi in it, but the way this was handled was kind of lame. They should have determined the criteria beforehand. To wait and see what Inter Miami wins and then decide right afterwards, oh, that's the criteria, that's who we're giving it to. And this is all occurring against the backdrop, as you talked about, they're having issues with sponsors and television deals for this tournament, and so they want Messi there to boost all of that. But the way it was handled, it could have been done better.
Yeah, and so anytime that you see this, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago when it was rumored that this was going to happen, and anytime you see it, the title or the headline saying that Inter Miami qualified, they qualified in the mind of Gianni Infantino and in the mind of FIFA. There was no qualifying process that was laid out ahead of time. And so when teams and players do not know what they are ultimately playing for, I think it's disingenuous to say that you qualified for a tournament other than, like I said, just some subjective thing that happens after the fact. But to your point, I don't think anybody is looking at Inter Miami representing, not just Inter Miami, but representing MLS and representing the U.S. in this tournament that's coming next summer as a bad thing. But it never should have gotten to that. It should have been done ahead of time. And I know that this was a work in progress, and this is the first in this expanded type of Club World Cup that they are going to have, even with the challenge that they have. And this is a very nice thing to have, not just Inter Miami, but obviously Inter Miami with Messi to kind of kick it off. And in that moment, Gianni Infantino even said that they will be hosting the first game in Miami. So it is all about Miami. It's all about Messi, using him as a promotional vehicle for this Club World Cup that needs promotion.
Now, in every previous edition of the Club World Cup, the host nation spot went to the domestic league winner of that country. We're going to have Sasha Kleshin on this pod on Wednesday, and you and him are going to duke it out over this Supporters' Shield versus MLS Cup debate. And FIFA have inadvertently given Sasha a nice argument because by making this decision, FIFA are basically saying, we view the Supporters' Shield winner as the MLS champion, the equivalent of the champions in these other leagues.
Right. And as I said, about Sasha, and I'll say it again in midweek, if MLS playoffs don't matter, then why is he continuing to work, and why should we or anybody else care? And to hear Gianni Infantino come and interject himself into this situation, and look, I know Johnny, he knows exactly what he is doing, and he certainly knows the reality of what MLS is. And I don't even think in that moment that's the way he was thinking. But when the head of FIFA talks about the champions of MLS, and in the way that he talked about it, nobody would say anything else than, well, the season's over and that's it. Congratulations, everybody is going home. When we all know that MLS is about winning MLS Cup, and the MLS playoffs are coming and right around the corner. And we've talked for years and years on this program about how it's all fine and well to rest your laurels on winning Supporters' Shield. But, show me somebody that focuses and champions the Supporters' Shield, and I'll show you someone that lost MLS Cup.
So we know the 5 CONCACAF representatives at next year's Club World Cup. They will be Monterrey, León, Pachuca, Seattle, and Inter Miami. And we know 31 of the 32 teams. The only one missing is the 2024 Copa Libertadores winner. The semifinals begin this week. Atlético Mineiro faces River Plate. Botafogo, who are owned by an American, John Textor, and feature some former MLS players like Thiago Almada and Jefferson Savarino and Gregory. They will face Peñarol of Uruguay. The final is in late November in Buenos Aires. If River Plate win the Libertadores, then Olimpia of Paraguay get that spot because River Plate are already in it, so it would go to the CONMEBOL team that's next highest in their coefficient rankings. So That's the only spot we're waiting on. I did mention that Lionel Messi got himself a second-half hat trick this past weekend. The other big Inter-Miami related debate that's been raging is this whole Messi MVP debate.
Right.
So he finishes the season having played in 19 of Inter-Miami's 34 games, started 15. He amassed 20 goals and 16 assists. Some people think that's not enough games to give him the MVP. Others think that those are MVP-worthy numbers, and he packed enough MVP moments into the games that he played. We know you have your own criteria, so your thoughts?
So just a follow-up to my criteria that I talked about a couple of weeks ago and have talked for years and years and years. If you were following, it came down to between Gabriel Peck from the Los Angeles Galaxy and Cucho Hernandez from Columbus. And while they were tied after the full regular season, my tiebreaker was, all right, how many multiple goal games that you have without penalties? Because that's one of my criteria. So congratulations to Cucho Hernandez, who is my MVP. We'll talk also to Sasha Kljestan this week, because he has been very adamant about how, and he even said, you're not a serious person if you think that Messi is the MVP. I mean, this is fun to talk about. What Messi has done this year is incredible. And I guess I should have started all of this by saying congratulations. Congratulations to Inter Miami, to Tata Martino, to all of the players, to Chris Henderson for what they have done. And historically, what they have done in amassing these points, winning the Supporters' Shield like this and in this fashion. We will see if they are able to parlay it into what I think is the ultimate prize, which is MLS Cup. But still, it should not take away from the wonderful regular season that they have had. And that they have been able to do it with Messi, and certainly he is a huge part of it, and without Messi, which there was lots of questions as to whether that was going to happen given his injury, and then obviously being away with Argentina. And so I think it says a lot about the depth that they have amassed over there and what they have ultimately done. And like you said, we will talk a whole lot more about MLS when Sasha Kljestan joins us this week.
Yeah, the other notable developments on decision day, Montreal and Atlanta snatched the wild card spots in the East, and then there was high drama regarding the top seed in the West. LAFC came from behind to beat San Jose 3-1, Buanga among the scorers there, and the Galaxy lost 2-1 away to Houston. One of their former players, Daniel Steres, with the winner in the 11th minute of second half stoppage time. So that flipped it. LAFC leapfrogged the Galaxy. They finished with the top seed. The Galaxy finished number 2.
Let me ask you something. So the LA soccer wars and the back and forth from the Galaxy and LAFC. Well, first off, again, if congratulations need to be bestowed to Greg Vanney and the Los Angeles Galaxy. I know it didn't end the way that they wanted it here, and they just got pipped at the end by their crosstown rivals. But still, this is a whole lot better than it has been in the past few years. And the fact that they have been neck and neck and back where people that are fans of these teams would say they belong, and given their history, they have shown they have more often than not been there. That's a feat. But in that last moment for for the Los Angeles Galaxy to let that goal in, and you saw the LAFC players and everybody kind of watching and waiting, and in that moment to be picked, it must be disheartening. And who knows? Home field advantage ultimately can make a huge difference. Mosse, when you are talking to people, how should we reference the teams that made the play-in game? I'm sorry. We're supposed to call it the wild card game. By the way, I know MLS is very sensitive about that. We're supposed to call it the wild card game. But those 4 teams that tomorrow night, we're recording on a Monday, tomorrow night and Wednesday night we'll be playing, and that includes Montreal, Atlanta, and Vancouver and Portland that we'll be playing in. Do you think that those teams have made the playoffs yet? Or would you say they've made the playoffs? And this all comes in the context of me, where we have this line, this delineation between the basic form of success and failure. And if you're above that line, from a basic perspective, you have been successful. But if you are below the line, it's not even with question in this league, MLS, which doesn't have the consequences of relegation, you have failed. What do you say for those 4 teams that are about to play here in the next 2 days?
It's a great question. I'm going to contradict myself a little bit here, because I've always been adamant that in college basketball, those play-in games are not a part of the NCAA tournament. So I don't care what they say. They call that the first round. But if you get knocked out in those games, in my view, you did not make the NCAA tournament that year. But in this case, I do consider these 2 wildcard games as part of the playoffs. They feel more connected to it than those play-in games feel to the NCAA tournament. Do you disagree?
I disagree. I disagree with you. I don't think that they should be considered. Whoever whoever loses those games, I will look at them as a failure, okay? And I will put them in the group that failed.
You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.